Welcome everyone to Pre-Market Prep. We got a lot to talk about this morning. First, quickly look at the QQQs. Check this out. Yesterday, it hit that 50 DMA and bounced right off of it. So, to be honest with you, I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I put it in the chat room out there early in the morning yesterday. They wanted to reduce some risk because of this recession talk. There was one riskier asset I took off the table in the morning. But man, it got to the 50 DMA. Lots of people were scared, but I got to give a shout out and a kudos to Rex, who called it intraday in real time to me. And I passed that message on to our group that he thinks the market's going to bounce from here. And he was right. And at the time, he said we could even get a squeeze on Friday. So I got his updated thoughts this morning on the Qs. And this is what he tells me. He thinks that we're going to see sideways action between the low and mid 350s with this for today. Sideways actions between the low and mid 350s with a possibility of hitting the high 350s. Now, if you look at this, that drives, he says high 350s. We got a gap at 360. So that's definitely strong resistance there. Could also possibly be a magnet 360s. There's some resistance between the 360s and 370s. Going to take another week to clear it. I expect most stocks to follow exactly the same pattern move. And that I agree with. We've seen during this period of uncertainty that all the individual stocks are, for the most part, not trading on their own merits. They're really influenced by the stock market. So he's saying that comment I agree with, that the pattern is going to match QQQ for most of our individual stocks. But then he goes on to say 390s for the QQQ is on deck. That's way up here this month, towards the end of the month or early next month. So Rex is bullish. And if you want to try to make sense, if you want to postulate a reason why he might be correct, the only thing I can come up with, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, is inflation. You know, you could have consumer discretionary being hurt. You can have demand being hurt. You can even have like a recession in real terms, but it's very hard to have a recession on absolute like dollar terms because of inflation, right? Like everyone's raising their rates. So revenue might go up even though you're selling less stuff, right? So profits might go up even though you're selling less stuff. That's you know, if you go look at what happens in hyperinflationary environments, stock markets completely explode. So that could be the reason if Rex is right. But right now you can see how beautifully it's been holding this. The 200 DMA was resistance. It went over it a little bit, so it was a little of a head fake, but right off the 20 DMA on the first test. On the second test, it failed. Right off the 50 DMA on the first test. I think if it goes below this 50 DMA, like a close below 349-ish, I think that could be dangerous, personally, despite what Rex says. So it was interesting. Yesterday, we saw a lot of rotation. It wasn't just a sell-off, right, in the morning before the reversal. It wasn't just a liquidation. It was a rotation into those new FANG stocks we've been talking about a long time: fuel, agriculture, aerospace, nuclear, and gold. And, you know, StoryTrading, we took our eye off the ball a little bit for like a week or so, got lukewarm to those. I still have a position in those stocks, but I did pare them down. But yesterday was an absolutely great day for all of those sectors. And you can see some of them here still, agriculture, DBA, and wheat. The minerals and gold is part of the G in the new FANG. So you got lithium that was on fire this week with LAC. You could see there palladium, another mineral, up 8% this morning. Potash, look at this. Potash on fire. This is all part of that Russia trade, right? So that whole, and also let me point out, defense has also been on fire. You got Raytheon with an upgrade this morning. So you gotta have some diversification. I got Lockheed Martin is my main defense stock in my IRA, and you see that's been doing well. So it's not like everything is going down, which is good news. You're seeing rotation when the Nasdaq goes down. So it is down 0.3%. Hey, I hope it goes up. I hope Rex is right, because most of my assets are in stocks that are impacted by the QQQ. So let's go into those specific stocks. First of all, I want to point out Tesla. Man, I watched some of the presentation last night. at Tesla by Elon Musk of the Gigafactory in Austin, and it's so impressive, right? Unbelievable. It happens every single time where I'm like, it's priced in. Everyone knows this event's happening. I'm not going to buy ahead of the news. I'm not going to do anything. And then I listen to the event, and every single time I'm blown away, right? Like, this guy's a genius. And, I had Tesla for a short amount of time, like 5 years ago, and I never touched it again. It would have been like what, like 100 bagger, I don't know. But I honestly, for the first time, I'm thinking about maybe adding some Tesla to my long-term portfolio. This guy knows how to get things done. That factory is amazing. You got to go watch those videos. Putting the car together in 3 pieces, that's going to reduce their costs, increase their profit. They're just doing amazing things. So last night I was hopeful. I was expecting, just based on sentiment alone, Tesla would have a great day today. Now, in pre-market, it's down. Some people in our community are saying that's because there's some recalls in China on some of their vehicles. So I don't know if that's what's causing it. But we did not get yet what I wanted, which was Tesla going up like 5-10% and dragging the Nasdaq up with it. You can see we're not getting that in pre-market. But the lithium stocks, you can expect that. You can check these yourself and look at the shape of the charts. They're really matching Tesla, the lithium stocks. But there was another reason for lithium stocks yesterday. Tony shared in a room some sort of initiative by the White House, which was came out on CNBC at the end of the day. It was up on routers in the morning. So lots of people are bullish lithium. I have LIACF in my retirement account. This is both a lithium and uranium miner. I've been hearing more and more about LLKKF. This is a massive Australian lithium company. It's on my watch list now. We might be able to connect with the CEO and get an interview with the CEO. They're going to be doing an uplisting soon to the Nasdaq. This is a $2 billion company. I think Bill Gates is behind it, and it's had a big pullback from $2. So this is something I'm going to be watching for a possible entry. Small starter position, because I don't know the story. I don't know why it's such a big market cap when it's a pink sheet. But I guess it's a legitimate large company in Australia. So hopefully we're going to arrange an interview with the CEO on this one soon, LLKKF, and hear more about that. Walmart, another one that's been strong in this rotation out of QQQ yesterday. And hey, it makes sense, right? People are worried about inflation. They want to go to lower cost shopping. But what I heard yesterday, I didn't even know about. I don't monitor these big companies as much as I should, but Flipkart, I guess, is an Indian e-commerce site that Walmart owns, is going to be doing a IPO, and they're valuing it at like $60 billion. And that's not trivial with a market cap of $430 billion. And they just upped the valuation yesterday by like $10 to $15 billion. So I don't know, man. I know it's at highs, but yeah, this kind of reminds me, I don't know. It's a great chart. The arguments for it make sense. PE is 31. I don't know. It has a dividend. Something to consider. I don't have a position, but I'm actually going to consider maybe getting some for my IRA. All right. I'm going to share you a video about Rumble soon, CFVI. I shared you the stats yesterday, but I want to get to SEAC. This morning, SEAC, they had earnings over here. Is it coming? The full release is not. Here it is. Okay. They had earnings this morning. 20% sequential revenue growth, which is great. 17.5 million cash, no debt. But this is the key. Entered into a definitive agreement and plan a merger. Everyone knows that, right? But then down here, in light of SeaChange's entry into the definitive agreement plan of merge with Triller, we'll now host a conference call or webcast to discuss this fourth quarter and fiscal 2022 results. I think the market is taking that to be a positive indicator that the merger is still on. I reduced some. I've been holding this for a long time. My cost average was somewhere in the 120s. I reduced some at 135 this morning, sold about 15% of my stake because I'm a little bit worried about this timeline. I'm a little bit worried about SEC approval. It seems to be taking longer than it should. And the steady state price for the stock seems to be 110. All of these are caused by social media, people talking about the stock, these big spikes, and it always goes back to 110 with a deal price of $2. That gap, I'm starting to get worried that that's too much of a gap and that there's risk here that some people know about, that this deal may not close or get repriced lower. So I did take the opportunity in pre-market this morning to sell about 15% of my shares at $1.35. And that's the story with SEAC, just managing my risk and still holding a large position in case the deal does close. Let me mention before we go into Kodak and CFVI, well, the uranium stocks have been on fire, but DNN is at critical resistance at $1.80. I own both DNN and CJJ. Look at this. If you go to the 6-month chart there, you can see all of these 1, 2, 3. It's like a quadruple top at like 180. And I think if it does break this, you can see a quick move. I don't mean intraday necessarily, but over a span of a few days, you could see a quick move to around $2. Of course, the uranium sector has to cooperate with that. But DNN has been underperforming CJJ. It's not back at its 52-week highs, whereas CCJ already hit a 52-week high yesterday. So it's possible that just with a technical break, even without a further like 10% move in CCJ, if we get a technical break of 180s, as long as the uranium market doesn't crash or anything, you could see a quick move up to the upper 190s to $2. So that's something I have my eye on over there. Actually, I think I may have added a little more DNN yesterday, but I own both DNN and CCJ. Man, these potash stocks, unbelievable. I rotated out of IPI into Moss a couple weeks ago. This one's a low float. That's why it's just like exploding. But we talked about this many weeks ago in terms of our Russia plays and looking at the past cycles of potash. These can run for quarters. So Moss, I think, has a better fundamental. So I'm in Moss and no IPI in my IRA. All right. Want to point out, well, let me work. I'm still monitoring KMI, monitoring CSSE, Vidler Water. I actually don't have a position in CSSE anymore, but those are something else to monitor. All right. 3 stocks I want to point out. SV. This is cool. I bought some this morning at 1048, 1040, and 1049 for a trade. Let's see if it works out. This is a SPAC that is merging with a nuclear energy company, right? They're making some technology for better nuclear power plants, more greener nuclear power plants. I don't know the whole story, but there's 2 pieces of news here and a sentiment, 2 catalysts and sentiment. What are the 2 catalysts? Well, you see this spike here a couple days ago is because Nucor, a $40 billion company, let's go down here, New Scale, Nucor, yeah. Nucor, $40 billion company, is putting a 50 million pipe into this closing, right? So that's a good catalyst there. And then this morning, they just announced the S4 is effective and the vote is April 28th. So you take those 2 catalysts on top of the strong sentiment and strong price action in uranium we're seeing this week. And I think there's a chance the traders will pick this up and who knows, send it to 12, 13 bucks. So I got some for a trade, SV. You can look at that if you'd like. All right, I want to get into, let me talk about Kodak real quick. Kodak is down this morning, honestly, because the Qs are down 0.47%. So I've seen that association there. We've seen Kodak fighting back during the day and trying to outperform the QQQ, but very clearly there are algorithms linking Kodak to the QQQ. All right, so it may be tough to get a green day if the NASDAQ is red, but it's been fighting back even on those red NASDAQ days. There's a lot of buying pressure going on. I can tell you, I've been talking to a lot of people about Kodak, a lot of sophisticated investors, a lot of people with big money, and every single person I've talked to so far, they love what they see. They've either already bought shares, in the process of buying shares, or finishing up their due diligence on it, and likely will buy shares soon. So this just gives me greater conviction in my thesis here, and greater conviction that this is going to work out long term. So as a result, I've lost a little bit of discipline, honestly, here in the last month because of the volatility of the market, and I got sucked into options, which I haven't done in years. Usually I sell options, but in the last month I got sucked into long call options, short dated, because it was just so tempting with this extreme volatility of the market. So you know what? With this greater validation we're getting from my peers, I think Kodak is something I could just buy and forget about it and not worry about options, and have very, very strong conviction in this. And I think it's interesting in regards to the sentiment. If you look at like social media, you look at retail traders, they immediately dismiss it. They're like, oh, Kodak, an old company, or they're just throwing shit up against the wall, or didn't they do some crypto thing and it didn't work out, or didn't they do like what happened with that big pump from Biden, Trump administration, that big loan, and that didn't work out. So every single like non-sophisticated investor immediately dismisses it, and every single sophisticated investor is getting real excited about this. So I'm real excited about this. I think the deep pockets and the sophisticated investors are going to buy up the float, and eventually it'll pop and the retail will come in. So, but my advice, and I posted this on Twitter yesterday, forget about the short-term options. I'm trying to wean myself off of it. It just got in the last few weeks, and I got to get out of it. It's not good. All right. Even if you win, you lose, right? Even if you win with short-term options, you're going to lose because you get that rush, you make a big amount of money, and then you're going to want to take risk again. It's just a bad idea. All right. So, want to bring up the last thing I want to show you is CFVI. All right. So I showed you those great statistics yesterday, the great chart I put together. If you didn't see it, look for it in the VIP research room, which the growth trajectory is still very solid. We know there's a sentiment issue on this stock right now, and you can see in the price chart right here, these 3 red days was because of Elon Musk getting involved with Twitter. I acknowledge that. I acknowledge there may be a little bit of a sentiment discount right now, but the growth is really, really good. And I want to show you something. Let's go to Rumble. They updated their app a couple days ago, and I didn't look at it for a bit, but listen, they have made massive updates over here, which make discovery so much better. It takes the focus off politics. You can click on any category over here, entertainment, for example, and you can see all of these videos on entertainment in each of these categories that are not politically oriented. Performance is lightning fast. It was already fast, but now it's even better, especially in terms of their comments section. There's only 7 comments on this one, but this used to be very buggy. Now it's completely smooth, basically works as well as YouTube does. So they're doing the right things here. This is giving me conviction to stick with my long position. And but I don't expect any immediate moves right now in the stock. So I don't know if there's any trade ideas for you there. So there it is. So in summary, today I got a trade position intraday. I'm going to try with SV on that SPAC. I'll be watching DNN. Maybe we could break out of 180 and head towards 2. Kodak, I don't really care what it does anymore. Got strong conviction. It's going up eventually. I want to talk about SMSI. I'm sorry. Did get a technical update from Rex I wanted to share with you. He said if it doesn't break out of the 4s today, he thinks it could go down to the 20 DMA at 350, which he says would be a great spot to buy. He thinks it's a great opportunity if it gets to 350. So Rex just sent that to me the other day, or was it on social media he put it on? I saw it somewhere. It may have been on his Twitter. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later.